What if I told you there's a town where art, architecture and aroma meet? Welcome to Karaikudi. We are heading towards Athangudi Palace, one of those beautiful old Chettinad mansions.
This is the palace. We are going towards there now.
This palace is also called Periya Veedu, meaning a big home. The entry fees here is ₹50 per person. This is a beautiful palace. It reflects the traditional Chettinad style with larger rooms, wooden pillars and colorful Athangudi tiles. It has a quiet, calm atmosphere and it's definitely a nice place to explore in case if you're visiting this region.
We are inside the Karaikudi Palace. So this is how it looks.
Only certain areas of the palace are accessible for visitors. Some of the sections on the ground floor and the entire first floor are not accessible. Something that caught my eye, these tiny windows placed all around. You will find these little windows here and there, very neatly designed, and they bring a nice old world feel to the palace. One highlight here is the Athangudi tiles, made locally by hand and widely used in homes around this area. Their colors and patterns really lift the look of the palace. You can also visit the tile making places nearby and see with your own eyes how these Athangudi tiles are made.
This is just one side of the palace. In the both the sides, what we saw was like this. There are so many rooms available.
In fact, it's not just this palace. Many homes in this area are quite large. Some of them are almost like the size of a small wedding hall or feel like mini palaces. That's something very special about this region. The main difference you'll notice between these homes and the palace is the kind of the detailed work. The palace has more fine detailing and decorative features. Right after visiting the Athangudi Palace, just opposite to it there was a house selling homemade Chettinad snacks. There were quite a few options and whatever we tried was really tasty. Chettinad snacks actually are very famous, so if you are around here, definitely you can give them a try.
Right in front of the palace there is a shop. Basically homemade snacks available here. The home is here only, so they make homemade snacks over here. And they have these kind of snacks which is Chettinad special.
But it wasn't just about the snacks. Their hospitality was also really good and that made the experience even better. Everything was homemade. It felt fresh and authentic. Along with the snacks they also had coffee, tea, badam milk, rose milk and more. Karaikudi weather is usually hot, so having a chilled rose milk at that time felt really such a treat. Feels really nice to stop by and try something homemade like this. After having a nice snacks, we headed towards another palace called Canaduk Katan Palace, also known as Chettinad Palace. It was built by Raja Sir Annamalai Chettiyar in 1912. It's quite a large structure, actually much bigger than the Athangudi Palace we saw earlier. But unlike Athangudi Palace, where we got to explore the beautiful interiors, here the visitors are not allowed inside. So it's just something you can view from the outside. But if you're already in Karaikudi and have a bit of time, you could consider stopping by just to take a look at the grand outer structure and get a quick sense of the scale and architectural style. The next place which we visited was one of the famous Murugan Temple at Karaikudi, which is Kudi Shanmuganathar Temple, located over 14 kilometers from Karaikudi on a modest hill of around 40 meters. The main deity here is Lord Murugan seated on his peacock with Valli and Devanai on either side. One interesting thing is that there are some ancient rock cut caves at the base of the hill said to be from Pandya period over 1000 years old. This is Pillayarpatti Vinayagar Temple, one of the oldest cave temples near Karaikudi. The main deity here is Lord Ganesha and the shrine is called the Vinayagar Sannidhi. Unlike the usual four-armed Ganesha idols we often see in other temples, the one here is quite unique. He has just two hands and his trunk curves to the right side. There is a calm strength in his expression that makes you want to stand there and keep looking at him. And don't miss looking up. The ceiling paintings inside the temple are made using natural materials, not the chemical paints. And it's really very beautiful and very colorful. Something we noticed throughout Karaikudi was the number of man-made ponds, locally known as oorani. You will find them near temples in many community spaces. These ponds have been used for water storage, irrigation and rituals, a sign of how thoughtfully the town was planned to manage its water needs. Another place we came across in Karaikudi is the antique market, a small street with shops offering old items from Chettinad mansions like wooden pillars, bronze pieces, vintage utensils and more. If you have some time and enjoy browsing through the old collectibles, you could give it a visit. It also reflects the rich heritage of this region. Karaikudi has a rich tradition of painting, from classic Tanjore art to the more contemporary styles. These artworks are known for using 22-karat gold foil, which gives them a beautiful glowing finish. Our journey continued to Tiruayam Fort, a historic site that lies on the way from Karaikudi to Trichy. The entire site is maintained by the Archaeological Survey of India. Tiruayam Fort was built in the 17th century by Setupatis of Ramnad Kingdom. The fort rests on a bare honey-colored rock with its outer walls encircling the entire hill. There's not too much of climbing and all here, but still it's a hot place, so if you're visiting, please carry a water bottle with you. See, this is how it looks once you enter.
The fort has the first level of wall within the mountain. The second layer of walls is at the ground level, where today we can see a lot of residents are staying within inside the wall, and quite a good extent of that wall structure is already damaged. It's no more there. And once you climb on the top of the fort, this peak pyramid size structure, we can see a lot of water sources. Huge lake sizes are surrounded by the entire fort. This could be strategically they have kept this fort so that the enemies can be slowed down to reach the fort, is what is observed.
And right here you'll see a British era cannon. It's over 6 feet long and still in place.
Generally we talk about the inscriptions by our kings. See today's generation's inscriptions.
The fort dates back to the 17th century, which is relatively recent in South Indian history, but the temples here go as far back as the 7th century, making them much older than the fort itself. Yes, there are two ancient rock-cut temples here, one dedicated to Lord Shiva, which is Satyagirishwarar Temple, and another to Lord Vishnu, which is Satyamurthy Perumal Temple. The Shiva shrine dates back to the 7th century and reflects the Pallava architecture. Before heading to the temples we thought we would explore this side of the fort a bit. While we were exploring here and there inside, we just saw that there was this huge rock with what looked like a small doorway above and a metal staircase leading up to it. From below we couldn't really tell what it was, but we noticed a few people there, so we decided to climb up and check it out. And to our surprise, It turned out to be a small temple with a beautiful Shivalingam inside. The steps were manageable, but a few sections were a bit slippery, so you will need to be a little cautious while going up and coming down as well, especially while coming down.
There is a room there in one side of the fort with a very small entrance. Of course, it was locked, but it created a curiosity to see what was inside. It was almost pitch dark, and few pillars were visible. When I checked with the security guard, he mentioned that it was used by the Britishers to store their ammunitions.
Now let's see the temples about which we discussed earlier. The Shiva shrine, dating back to the 7th century, carries the unique stamp of Pallava architecture. In fact, inscriptions here mention that it was Mahendra Pallava, also known as Vichitrajita, who first introduced the idea of carving shrines into the solid rock, and this temple is fine example of that early vision. One special feature here is the octagonal temple tank. Unlike the usual square or circular ones, this 8-sided tank still holds water even during peak summer when the temperature reaches around 41 to 42 degrees Celsius. Classic Pallava features are evident at the entrance. The two Dwarapalakas are two-armed and non-identical, distinct from later temple styles where they are usually four-armed and symmetrical. One beautiful sculpture here shows Shiva emerging out of the lingam, carved directly into the rock wall. But we don't have visuals to show you from inside. These temples were gradually expanded by many dynasties like Cholas, Pandyas, especially the Vijayanagara rulers who contributed a lot, followed by Nayakas and the later Chettiyars again who contributed a lot. So this was all about Karaikudi. Thank you so much for watching.